Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Deep Dive Podcast, your go-to place for exploring the most significant events shaping our world. I'm your host, and I'm joined by two amazing co-hosts today.
Hi, I'm Marie. Excited to dive into today's topic with you all.
And I'm Julian. Get ready for some insightful discussions and highlights you don't want to miss.
Before we get started, make sure to subscribe to the Deep Dive Podcast on YouTube. Turn on those notifications so you never miss an episode, and don't forget to like and share this video if you enjoy it.
Your support helps us grow and keep bringing you amazing content every week.
All right, let's dive into today's topic. Unveiling 24, the most significant world events.
Exactly. We'll be weaving together these different perspectives, connecting the dots.
Yes.
Unearthing those major undercurrents that really shaped this eventful year. And by the end, you'll have a crystal clear understanding of what truly defined 2024.
I'm already seeing kind of a theme emerge just from glancing at these sources.
Oh, yeah.
2024 is a year of just unprecedented global upheaval.
Oh, wow.
It feels like every corner of the world was dealing with power struggles and economic shocks and escalating conflicts.
It is fascinating to see how all of these seemingly disparate events are actually intertwined.
Yeah.
Take, for instance, the rise of what some experts are calling the axis of autocracies.
Okay.
This growing cooperation between China, Russia, Iran, and North Korea is more than just a headline.
Okay, the axis of autocracies definitely sounds ominous. But what does it actually mean in practice? What are the implications of this cooperation?
Well, it signals a shift in the global balance of power.
Okay.
These nations, while not a formal alliance, share a common goal,
Okay.
challenging U.S. dominance on the world stage. Their cooperation takes many forms, from joint military exercises to coordinated economic strategies, even sharing intelligence and resources.
Wow.
We saw a stark example of this with North Korean troops actually fighting alongside Russian forces in Ukraine.
Wow, that's a chilling detail from foreign policy. It really brings home the reality of this new global dynamic. And it makes you wonder, if these autocratic powers are gaining influence, what does that mean for democracy and the existing world order?
That's a critical question.
Yeah.
Some analysts believe this signals a move toward a more multipolar world,
Yeah.
one where power is distributed among several major players, not just concentrated in the West. This could lead to increased competition and instability,
Right.
but also potentially new opportunities for cooperation on global challenges like climate change.
So a mixed bag of potential outcomes, but definitely a trend to watch closely.
Definitely.
And speaking of global challenges, the economic landscape also experienced some serious tremors in 2024.
Yeah.
Foreign policy uses the term China Shock 2.0 to describe the wave of protectionist measures countries are taking in response to China's economic strategy shift. Can you unpack that for us a little bit?
Essentially, China is ramping up its exports. Again, flooding global markets with goods at very competitive prices.
Okay.
And this has sparked concern in other countries who worry about the impact on their own domestic industries.
Right.
We're seeing the EU, Brazil, even India taking steps to protect their economies, and the U.S. seems poised to increase tariffs even further in 2025.
So it sounds like this trade tension could escalate into a full-blown trade war, or is there any chance of a negotiated solution?
Well, a negotiated solution is always a possibility.
Sure.
But the road to such an outcome is definitely fraught with obstacles. The current global political climate is marked by distrust and a reluctance to compromise.
Right.
Additionally, domestic political pressures in many countries make it very difficult for leaders to make concessions on trade.
That makes sense. It seems like we're in a sort of global standoff with economic and political interests colliding, and this tension seems to be fueling some of the conflicts we're seeing around the world, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Take, for example, the Israel-Hamas war.
Right.
This conflict escalated to unprecedented levels in 2024, with devastating consequences for both sides.
Yeah.
The UN even found both sides guilty of committing war crimes, and the conflict spilled over into Lebanon, prompting an Israeli invasion.
It's heartbreaking to read about the thousands of casualties, a stark reminder of the human cost of these conflicts. And it's particularly unsettling to learn that the conflict seems far from over. The sources mention increased Hezbollah activity in Lebanon, leading to a very dangerous situation in the Red Sea that's actually impacting global shipping.
This highlights how regional conflicts can have far-reaching consequences. The instability in the Middle East, coupled with the rise of the axis of autocracies and the ongoing economic tensions, creates a very volatile global landscape.
Yeah, for sure. And this backdrop of instability seems to be influencing domestic politics as well.
Oh, absolutely.
The sources highlight how elections worldwide produced some surprising shifts in power this year. It seems there's a growing dissatisfaction with established political systems, leading to some unexpected upsets.
Sure.
For instance, long-ruling parties lost their grip on power in Botswana and South Africa. And in Japan, the Liberal Democratic Party, which has been in power for decades, lost its majority.
It's a clear sign that voters are looking for change. They're no longer content with the status quo.
Right.
And this desire for change played a significant role in one of the most defining events of 2024.
Okay.
Donald Trump's re-election in the U.S.
It's truly remarkable considering everything that transpired during his first term and the subsequent years.
It's
To have a non-consecutive two-term president, the first since Grover Cleveland, is a historic moment.
absolutely. And his victory wasn't simply a fluke.
Right.
It was fueled by a confluence of factors: economic anxieties, cultural divisions, and a segment of the population that yearns for his brand of leadership, even amidst the controversies.
Yeah.
And his re-election has major implications not just for the U.S., but for the global balance of power as well.
Absolutely. His return could further embolden the axis of autocracies and reshape alliances on the world stage.
For sure.
It's a lot to unpack.
It really is a lot to unpack. We've only just scratched the surface, so stay tuned because we'll be back after a quick break to delve even deeper into the events that shaped 2024.
It's certainly a development that will have ripple effects across the globe. Speaking of global events, 2024 also saw the climate crisis intensify with record-breaking temperatures and devastating natural disasters. Yeah, the sources paint a pretty grim picture. From Hurricane Helene to those devastating heat waves and droughts. It seems like the consequences of a warming planet are becoming more and more tangible.
Right.
The Hajj disaster, where over 1,300 people perished due to extreme heat, is a particularly harrowing example.
It's a stark reminder that climate change isn't some abstract problem for future generations to deal with. It's impacting lives right now, and the human cost is tragically real.
So given the urgency of the situation, what progress was made at COP29? Did international leaders manage to take meaningful action?
Well, while there was some progress made in terms of helping developing nations finance emissions reductions and climate adaptation, the overall outcomes of COP29 were unfortunately rather modest. The negotiations were fraught with challenges, and achieving meaningful global cooperation on this issue continues to be a significant hurdle.
It's disheartening, to say the least. It feels like we're running out of time to avert the worst-case scenarios. But shifting gears a bit, let's delve into the world of technology. As always, 2024 saw some remarkable advancements. But, as the sources point out, their impact isn't always positive.
The continued growth of AI is a perfect illustration of this double-edged sword.
Right.
On one hand, we witnessed groundbreaking scientific discoveries. But on the other hand, there are growing concerns about the spread of online propaganda, the rise of deepfakes, and the potential for AI to be misused.
Right, and this isn't just some dystopian science fiction scenario.
Right.
OpenAI actually had to remove influence operations tied to several countries this year, which shows that this technology is already being used in ways that can destabilize and manipulate. It feels like we're entering uncharted territory, almost as if we're handing humanity incredibly powerful tools without a proper instruction manual.
It's a valid concern. And it's not just about the technology itself, it's about the ethical and social frameworks we build around it. Do we have the foresight to anticipate potential problems? The mechanisms to course correct when things go awry? These are questions we can't afford to ignore.
That brings to mind the story you mentioned earlier about the inventor whose groundbreaking innovations ended up having disastrous unintended consequences. It's a cautionary tale that highlights the need for careful consideration and responsible development when it comes to powerful new technologies.
Precisely. Innovation without foresight can be a recipe for disaster.
Yeah.
But speaking of innovation, one of the sources highlighted a particularly fascinating development in the field of food technology.
Oh, yeah.
The creation of what Korean scientists are calling meaty rice.
Okay, meaty rice. That definitely piqued my curiosity. What's that all about?
Researchers have actually managed to grow beef inside rice grains in a lab,
What?
resulting in rice with 8% more protein.
Wow.
It's a potential game changer in terms of addressing global food security challenges, especially as the world's population continues to grow.
Wow, that's incredible. So it's like a GMO, but instead of just modifying existing genes, they're actually growing animal tissue within a plant.
Exactly. It's a groundbreaking innovation that could have far-reaching implications. Imagine the potential for increased food production, reduced reliance on traditional livestock farming, and even the possibility of creating more sustainable and ethical food sources.
It sounds Almost too good to be true. But like you said earlier, innovation often comes with ethical considerations. I imagine meaty rice would spark a lot of debate and concern, especially when it comes to genetically modified foods.
Absolutely. There will undoubtedly be conversations about consumer acceptance, long-term health effects, and the potential ecological impact of such technology. But this is a conversation we need to have. As the climate crisis intensifies and the demand for food grows, we need to explore innovative solutions while carefully weighing the potential risks and benefits.
It's a delicate balance. But let's shift gears a bit and talk about the Olympics. It seems that even the world of sports wasn't immune to controversy in 2024. The sources mention a boxing match at the Paris Olympics that sparked international debate.
Ah, yes. The match between Luka Hamri and Imane Khelif. It wasn't the match itself that caused the controversy, but rather the judging.
Okay.
Many felt that the decision was biased, with Hamri being awarded the victory despite a strong performance from Khelif. This sparked accusations of corruption and unfairness, raising questions about the integrity of the judging process at the Olympic level.
So it was a judging scandal, essentially. That's never a good look for the Olympics, especially given the emphasis on fair play and sportsmanship.
Exactly. The controversy ignited debates about transparency, accountability, and the need for reforms within the Olympic judging system.
It's a reminder that even in the world of sports, where the focus should be on athletic achievement, we can't escape the complexities of human bias and the potential for corruption. And speaking of complexities, the sources also touch on some of the challenges faced by the British royal family in 2024.
Yes. It appears that Catherine, the Princess of Wales, underwent abdominal surgery, while King Charles III received treatment for prostate cancer.
It's a reminder that even those in positions of power and privilege are not immune to health issues and personal struggles.
Indeed. It humanizes them in a way, reminding us that behind the titles and the pomp and circumstance they are, at the end of the day, just people facing the same vulnerabilities as the rest of us.
That's a good point. It's easy to get caught up in the spectacle and forget that they're real people dealing with real-life issues. And speaking of real-life issues, the sources also mention a rather unusual legal case in Alabama.
Yes, the Alabama Supreme Court ruled that frozen embryos can be considered children as part of a wrongful death case. It's a fascinating legal precedent that raises a host of complex ethical and legal questions about reproductive rights, the definition of life, and the rights of embryos.
It's definitely a case that will have ripple effects across the legal landscape, potentially impacting family law and reproductive rights in other states. And speaking of legal battles, Donald Trump's ongoing legal woes continue to make headlines.
It seems he faced numerous lawsuits and investigations in 2024, including a New York civil fraud case that resulted in a staggering $354 million fine.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's a significant development, but given his history, it remains to be seen how it will ultimately impact him and his political career. And his re-election, coupled with the rise of the axis of autocracies, seems to be contributing to a resurgence of tensions between the U.S. and China.
Absolutely. The Biden administration imposed new tariffs on a range of Chinese imports, further escalating the trade war between the two superpowers. This has the potential to destabilize the global economy and could have far-reaching consequences for international trade.
It's like a global game of chess, with each move having the potential to trigger a cascade of consequences. And speaking of consequences, the ongoing drought in northern South America is a stark reminder of the environmental challenges we face.
It's a dire situation. Parts of the Amazon River, the lifeblood of the region, have actually dried up completely. This ecological disaster highlights the urgent need to address climate change and protect our planet's precious ecosystems.
It's a sobering reminder of the interconnectedness of our world. What happens in one part of the planet can have ripple effects across the globe, and these global challenges require global solutions.
Precisely. We need international cooperation and a collective commitment to addressing these issues if we want to create a sustainable future for generations to come.
And speaking of the future, 2024 saw a groundbreaking development in the fight against malaria.
Yes, the World Health Organization declared the island nation of Cape Verde malaria-free.
That's amazing.
This is a major victory in the global effort to eradicate this deadly disease.
It's a testament to the power of public health interventions, the dedication of healthcare workers, and the importance of investing in global health initiatives. It's a beacon of hope, demonstrating that even in the face of seemingly insurmountable challenges, progress is possible.
Absolutely. And speaking of progress, the U.S. firm Intuitive Machines achieved a significant milestone in space exploration. They successfully landed the Odysseus spacecraft on the moon. It was the first U.S.-owned spacecraft to accomplish this feat in over 50 years, marking a resurgence in lunar exploration.
Wow.
And while the spacecraft did tip over during landing,
Oh, no.
it still managed to transmit valuable data back to Earth.
That's still an incredible accomplishment. It seems like we're entering a new era of space exploration with both private companies and government agencies pushing the boundaries of what's possible. And speaking of pushing boundaries, I want to circle back to that meaty race innovation we discussed earlier.
Yes, that was a fascinating development, wasn't it? It really highlights the potential of technology to address some of the world's most pressing challenges.
Absolutely. And it wasn't the only food-related news that made headlines in 2024. Oprah Winfrey's decision to step down from the board of Weight Watchers and sell her shares shortly after admitting to using prescription weight loss drugs sparked quite a bit of controversy.
It certainly did. Her decision raised questions about body image, the influence of celebrities, and the ethics of promoting weight loss products while using alternative methods.
It's a complex issue, and her actions ignited a conversation about the pressures and expectations placed on women, especially those in the public eye.
Indeed. It highlighted the complexities of body image and the ongoing debate about healthy weight loss methods.
Absolutely. It seems like even in the realm of health and wellness, there's no escaping controversy and ethical dilemmas. And speaking of dilemmas, the sources mention a tragic plane crash in Malawi.
Yes, it was a devastating accident that claimed the lives of 9 people, including Malawi's Vice President Salas Chilima.
A tragic loss and a stark reminder of the fragility of life, even for those in positions of power. It's a reminder that tragedy can strike at any time and that we should cherish every moment.
Indeed. It's a reminder to live each day to the fullest and to appreciate the preciousness of life.
Absolutely. But shifting gears for a moment, let's talk about a positive development in the UK. The overturning of the convictions of hundreds of postmasters who had been wrongfully prosecuted due to a faulty IT system is a testament to the power of justice and accountability.
It was a major victory for those who had been wrongly accused and imprisoned, highlighting the importance of due process and the need for safeguards against miscarriages of justice.
It's a reminder that even in a system as complex as the justice system, truth and fairness can prevail, though sometimes it takes far too long. And on a more international level, the sources mention the US and UK launching airstrikes against Iranian-backed Houthis in Yemen.
This was in retaliation for attacks on vessels in the Red Sea, highlighting the ongoing tensions in the region and the West's commitment to protecting its interests. It's a complex geopolitical situation with no easy solutions.
It's a reminder that the fight against terrorism and extremism continues, and that there are often no clear-cut answers in these conflicts. And speaking of complex situations, the discovery of a massive ancient city in the Amazon rainforest is a reminder of the vastness and mystery of our planet.
It's a truly remarkable find. Researchers believe the city was once home to as many as 10,000 people and boasted sophisticated roads and canals.
It's a glimpse into a lost civilization and a testament to the ingenuity of ancient cultures. It makes you wonder what other secrets and wonders are still hidden within the Amazon rainforest.
It's a tantalizing thought.
Yeah.
There's still so much we don't know about our planet's history and the cultures that came before us. And speaking of mysteries, do you remember that strange incident with the high-altitude balloon over Utah?
Oh, yes. U.S. officials were completely baffled by its origin and purpose. It sparked a lot of speculation and conspiracy theories, didn't it?
It certainly did. It's a reminder that there are still things in the world that we don't fully understand and that the unexpected can always occur. And speaking of the unexpected, who could have predicted that Beyoncé would become the first Black female artist to top Billboard's Hot Country Songs chart?
It's a remarkable achievement and a testament to her talent and versatility as an artist. She's constantly breaking barriers and defying expectations.
Indeed. But even amidst her success, there were moments of personal reflection and vulnerability. Her apology for physically assaulting her former girlfriend Cassie Ventura back in 2016 was a reminder that even celebrities are human and capable of making mistakes.
It's a reminder that accountability and taking responsibility for one's actions are important regardless of one's status or fame.
Absolutely. It's about acknowledging wrongdoing and working to make amends. But let's shift gears a bit and talk about some of the political developments that unfolded in 2024. One of the most significant events was the impeachment of Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas by the House of Representatives.
Yes, it was a highly partisan vote, with Republicans accusing him of mishandling the border crisis. The Senate ultimately acquitted him, but it highlighted the deep political divisions in the U.S. and the ongoing challenges of immigration reform.
It's a reminder that political polarization is a significant issue in the U.S., making it difficult to address pressing national problems.
Absolutely. And speaking of pressing problems, the sources also mention the arrest of several students at Shabbat's headquarters in New York. They were attempting to fill a secret tunnel, though the details about their motives and affiliations remain unclear.
It's a strange and intriguing incident that raises more questions than it answers. What were they hoping to achieve? What was the purpose of the tunnel? It's a bit of a mystery.
It definitely adds an element of intrigue to the year's events. And then there was the resignation of Senator Mitch McConnell after many years as the Republican leader in the Senate.
He stepped down in February, citing health reasons. His departure is a significant loss for the Republican Party and could have major implications for the balance of power in the Senate.
Right. And on a more global level, the conflict between Israel and Hamas continued to escalate with devastating consequences for both sides. The UN even condemned both sides for committing war crimes.
It's a heartbreaking conflict with no easy solutions. The situation in the region remains extremely volatile, and the cycle of violence seems to be perpetuating itself.
It's a reminder of the human cost of conflict and the urgent need for peaceful resolutions. But amidst the turmoil, there was a glimmer of hope. The sources mention a historic agreement between rival Palestinian factions, Fatah and Hamas, to form a single government.
It was a major breakthrough in the long-standing conflict between the two groups and raised hopes for a more unified and peaceful future for Palestine.
It's a testament to the power of diplomacy and dialogue, though it remains to be seen if this fragile peace will hold.
Indeed. Only time will tell if this agreement will lead to a lasting resolution.
Absolutely. And speaking of ongoing conflicts, the sources mention the U.S. and UK navies striking 13 Houthi locations across Yemen.
It's a reminder that the fight against terrorism and extremism continues. These airstrikes were a response to Houthi attacks on vessels in the Red Sea, illustrating the complex geopolitical dynamics at play in the region.
It's a dangerous and complex conflict, and it's important to recognize the efforts being made to combat extremism and protect innocent lives.
Absolutely. And speaking of protecting innocent lives, the sources also mention the arrest of former YouTuber Ruby Frank and her business partner. They were sentenced to up to 60 years in prison for physically and emotionally abusing her children.
It's a horrific case that highlights the importance of protecting vulnerable children from abuse and the need for greater awareness and vigilance.
It's a reminder that abuse can happen anywhere, even within families that appear perfect from the outside. We need to create a culture where children feel safe to speak up and where adults are empowered to intervene when they suspect abuse.
Absolutely. And speaking of turmoil, there was an apparent coup attempt in the Democratic Republic of Congo.
Yes, there were reports of gunfire and heightened security in Kinshasa, the capital city. The military claimed to have averted the coup, but it highlights the political instability that plagues many parts of the world.
It underscores the importance of strong institutions and peaceful transitions of power. And then there was the tragic news of the helicopter crash that killed Iranian President Ibrahim Raisi.
It's a reminder of the fragility of life and the unpredictable nature of events, even for those in positions of power.
Yes, it serves as a reminder that we should cherish each day and appreciate the moments we have.
Indeed, life is precious and unpredictable, and we should make the most of every opportunity.
Absolutely. And speaking of unpredictable events, the sources mention a series of deadly storms and tornadoes that ravaged parts of the U.S. in 2024.
It seems like the U.S. faced a particularly severe weather year, with numerous tornadoes, hurricanes, and floods causing widespread damage and loss of life.
It's a reminder of the power of nature and the importance of disaster preparedness. We need to be prepared for the unexpected and take steps to mitigate the impact of these events.
And it also underscores the growing impact of climate change, which is exacerbating extreme weather events around the world.
Right. The ongoing drought in northern South America, with parts of the Amazon River drying up completely, is a stark reminder of the environmental challenges we face.
It's a sobering reminder of the interconnectedness of our world and the need for collective action to address this global crisis. We can't afford to ignore the warning signs any longer.
Absolutely. But amidst these challenges, there were also moments of scientific discovery and exploration that offered glimpses of hope and wonder.
The confirmation of the first homosexual coupling between humpback whales was a fascinating example of how much we still have to learn about the natural world.
It challenges our assumptions about animal behavior and highlights the diversity of life on our planet.
Indeed. It broadens our understanding of the natural world and reminds us that there's still so much to discover.
Absolutely. And speaking of diversity, the sources mention the resignation of Harvard University's first Black female president, Claudine Gay, after just a few months in office.
It was a surprising and disappointing development, and it highlights the ongoing challenges of diversity and inclusion in academia.
It's a reminder that representation matters and that we still have a long way to go to achieve true equality. We need to create environments where everyone feels welcome, respected, and valued.
Absolutely. We need to continue to work towards creating a more just and equitable society.
And on a lighter note, the premiere of Denis Villeneuve's Dune, Part 2, was a major cinematic event in 2024. The film received critical acclaim for its stunning visuals and thought-provoking story.
It was a cinematic triumph capturing the imagination of audiences worldwide. It's a testament to the power of storytelling and the ability of art to transport us to different worlds and challenge our perspectives.
Right. And speaking of challenging perspectives, the release of the Jeffrey Epstein court documents definitely stirred up a lot of controversy.
They revealed the names of many prominent individuals associated with Epstein, sparking outrage and calls for accountability. It's a dark chapter in history that continues to raise questions about power, privilege, and abuse.
It's a reminder that we need to hold those in positions of power accountable for their actions and work to create a society where abuse is not tolerated.
Absolutely. We need to create a culture of transparency and accountability.
And on a more celebratory note, the British Academy Film Awards, or BAFTAs, recognized Oppenheimer as the best film of the year.
It's a powerful and thought-provoking film about the development of the atomic bomb, and its recognition by the BAFTAs highlights the enduring relevance of this historical event.
It's a reminder of the impact of scientific discovery and the ethical dilemmas that can arise from it.
Indeed, it's a film that forces us to confront difficult questions about the nature of war, the responsibility of scientists, and the consequences of our actions.
Absolutely. And speaking of confronting difficult questions, the indictment of actor Alec Baldwin on involuntary manslaughter charges stemmed from the fatal shooting on the set of the film Rust back in 2021.
It's a tragic incident that raises important questions about safety protocols in the film industry and the responsibility of those in charge of ensuring the well-being of cast and crew.
It's a reminder that we can't take safety for granted, especially in environments where there are inherent risks involved.
Indeed, safety should always be the top priority.
And on a more somber note, the death of former New Jersey Governor Chris Christie after suffering a stroke was a reminder that even those in the public eye are not immune to health issues and personal tragedies.
It was a loss felt by many. He was a larger-than-life figure in American politics, and his passing marked the end of an era.
Absolutely. And speaking of significant losses, the sources mentioned the announcement that the U.S. and U.K. would be providing Ukraine with cluster bombs.
It was a controversial decision, as cluster bombs are widely condemned due to their indiscriminate nature and the danger they pose to civilians. However, it underscored the West's commitment to supporting Ukraine's fight for freedom against Russian aggression.
It's a reminder that in times of war, difficult decisions must be made, and there are often no easy answers.
Indeed. The complexities of war and international relations often force us to grapple with moral dilemmas and make difficult choices.
And speaking of difficult choices, the U.S. also pledged $15 million in aid to help Ukraine rebuild its infrastructure after the devastating war.
It's a testament to the resilience of the human spirit and the importance of international cooperation in times of crisis.
It's a reminder that even in the face of unimaginable destruction, there is hope for rebuilding and renewal.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We have a responsibility to support those who have been affected by conflict and help them rebuild their lives.
And speaking of rebuilding, the sources mentioned the repeal of California's ban on affirmative action in college admissions.
It was a controversial decision that sparked debate about race, equality, and opportunity.
It's a complex issue with no easy solutions, but it highlights the ongoing need for dialogue and action to address systemic racism and create a more equitable society.
Indeed. It's a reminder that the fight for equality is far from over.
And speaking of fights that are far from over, the sources mentioned the U.S. government offering a $25 million reward for information leading to the capture of Sinaloa cartel leader Ismael El Mayo Zambada.
It's a reminder of the ongoing drug war and the challenges of combating organized crime.
Right. And speaking of challenges, the U.S. also faced a resurgence of COVID-19 cases in 2024.
It led to renewed calls for mask mandates and social distancing, reminding us that the pandemic is not yet over and that we need to remain vigilant.
It's a reminder that we need to be adaptable and prepared for the unexpected, especially when it comes to global health threats.
Absolutely. We need to learn from our experiences and continue to strengthen our public health infrastructure.
And speaking of learning from our experiences, the successful launch of the James Webb Space Telescope is a testament to human ingenuity and our insatiable curiosity about the universe.
It's the most powerful space telescope ever built, and it has already captured stunning images of the universe, expanding our understanding of the cosmos.
It's a reminder of the vastness and wonder of the universe and the endless possibilities for discovery and exploration.
Indeed, it inspires awe and wonder, reminding us of our place in the grand scheme of things.
And speaking of inspiring discoveries, did you hear about the development of a new malaria vaccine?
Yes, it's a major breakthrough in the fight against this deadly disease and has the potential to save countless lives.
It's a reminder of the power of scientific research and the importance of investing in global health initiatives.
Absolutely. We have a moral obligation to use our knowledge and resources to improve the health and well-being of people around the world.
And speaking of global icons, the death of Queen Elizabeth II at the age of 96 marked the end of an era. She was the longest reigning monarch in British history, and her passing was mourned worldwide.
It was a moment of profound sadness and reflection as the world bid farewell to a beloved figure who had reigned for over 7 decades.
It's a reminder of the passage of time and the enduring legacy of those who have shaped our world.
Indeed. Her reign spanned a period of immense change and upheaval, and she remained a symbol of stability and continuity throughout.
Absolutely. And speaking of enduring legacies, the sources also mention the death of former U.S. President Jimmy Carter.
He was 98 years old and had been in declining health for some time. He was known for his humanitarian work and his commitment to peace and justice.
He was a truly remarkable individual who dedicated his life to serving others. His legacy of compassion and integrity will continue to inspire generations to come.
Indeed. He was a man of principle and conviction, and his life serves as a reminder that we all have the power to make a positive difference in the world.
And speaking of new beginnings, the birth of Prince William and Kate Middleton's 4th child, a baby girl named Charlotte, was a joyous occasion for the royal family and their fans worldwide.
It was a reminder of the cycle of life and the enduring hope for the future.
It's a symbol of new life and new possibilities. And speaking of new possibilities, the discovery of a new species of ancient human in Siberia provides a fascinating glimpse into our evolutionary past.
It's a reminder of the vastness and complexity of human history and the countless stories that are still waiting to be uncovered.
It's a testament to the ingenuity and adaptability of our ancestors, and it makes you wonder what other secrets and discoveries are still out there waiting to be found.
Indeed, the world is full of mysteries and wonders, and there's always something new to learn and explore.
And speaking of exploring, let's bring it back to 2024 and the events that shaped this year. From global conflicts to political upheaval, technological advancements to cultural shifts, it was a year that tested our resilience and challenged our assumptions.
It was a year of both progress and setbacks, of triumphs and tragedies, of moments that will be remembered for generations to come.
Absolutely. And as we wrap up this part of our deep dive into 2024, it's clear that the world is constantly changing, evolving, and presenting us with new challenges and opportunities.
It's up to us to learn from the past, adapt to the present, and shape a future that reflects our values and aspirations.
And with that in mind, let's move on to the final part of our deep dive. Okay, so we've traversed the globe, explored political earthquakes, technological leaps, even pondered the fate of a banana duct taped to a wall. But before I wrap up, I want to circle back to something you touched on earlier, this idea that technology might be outcasing our ability to manage its consequences.
It's a concern that's becoming increasingly difficult to ignore, especially with the rapid advancements we're seeing in AI. This year alone, we've seen AI's potential for both incredible good and potential harm. Groundbreaking medical breakthroughs, yes.
Right.
But also the spread of online propaganda and the creation of incredibly convincing deepfakes. The fact that OpenAI had to intervene to remove influence operations orchestrated by various countries is a clear signal that we're still grappling with how to navigate this uncharted territory.
It's almost like we're giving humanity this incredibly powerful toolbox,
Right.
but forgetting to include the instruction manual.
Exactly.
And that story about the inventor whose well-intentioned innovations led to unforeseen disasters that really underscores the point that good intentions aren't always enough.
Absolutely.
So what does this all mean for us, the listeners? How do we make sense of this whirlwind of information and prepare ourselves for what lies ahead?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
It really is.
Well, I believe the key takeaway is this. We need to stay informed, engaged, and critically aware. Don't just passively consume information.
Right.
Question assumptions, seek out diverse perspectives, and try to connect the dots between seemingly unrelated events.
It's about becoming savvy navigators of the information landscape.
Exactly.
And not just passengers along for the ride.
Ex-
And maybe that's how we ensure that technology serves humanity, not the other way around.
Precisely.
Yeah.
Embrace curiosity. Be open to new ideas.
Yeah.
But also cultivate a healthy skepticism. The world is complex. There are rarely simple answers.
Right.
But by engaging in thoughtful dialogue and critical thinking, we can collectively navigate these uncharted waters.
Well said. So there you have it, 2024, a year of intense global challenges, political shifts, and technological advancements. But amidst all the chaos, those human stories and cultural moments continue to inspire, challenge, and entertain.
The question now becomes, what lessons will we glean from these events? What choices will we make to shape a better future? That, my friend, is the ultimate deep dive.
And it's a journey we encourage you to continue on your own. Considering everything we've explored today, do you believe we're prepared for the ethical challenges that AI will inevitably bring? Food for thought as we head into the new year.
And that wraps up this episode of the Deep Dive Podcast. We hope you enjoyed our breakdown of the most significant world events of 2024.
Don't forget to hit like, share this episode with your friends, and most importantly, subscribe to the Deep Dive Podcast.
We'd also love to hear from you in the comments. What event from 2024 stood out the most to you?
Thanks for listening, and we'll see you in the next episode.
Stay curious and keep diving deep.
See you next time, everyone.
Bye for now.
Bye for now.
Bye for now.